Well, ladies and gentlemen, the next session that we're talking about is for transforming wealth into legacy. Well, हर व्यक्ति अपने जीवन में धन कमाता है, पर असल सफल वही होते हैं जब वो धन सिर्फ वेल्थ ना रहे बल्कि एक लेगेसी बन जाए. जी हाँ, wealth can buy comfort, but legacy inspires generations. And with this thought, allow me to invite on stage Shri Nirmal Jain, JITO past chairperson 2013-14 कि वे हमारे साथ मंच पे जुड़े और वे आके यहाँ पे परिचय दें जो हमारे साथ मंच पे जुड़ने वाले हैं अपने नेक्स्ट सेशन के लिए, that is transforming wealth into legacy. हमारे साथ बहुत जल्द another very dynamic leader जुड़ने वाले हैं स्टेज पे, श्री निर्मल जैन जी, फाउंडर एंड चेयरमैन IIFL. पर उससे पहले मैं निवेदन करना चाहूँगी श्री श्रीमल जी से कि वे प्लीज़ मंच पे जुड़े और प्लीज़ परिचय दें हमारे बीच श्री निर्मल जैन जी का.
Good afternoon, everybody. Jai Jinendra. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my absolute privilege to welcome and introduce a visionary leader, a pioneering entrepreneur, and an inspiration to countless professionals across the country, Mr. Nirmal Jain, the founder of IIFL Group. Mr. Jain is someone who dared to dream big at a time when India's financial service landscape was still evolving. A qualified chartered accountant, cost accountant, and MBA from the prestigious IIM Ahmedabad, he began his journey with a clear mission to make financial services accessible, transparent, and customer-friendly. From these humble beginnings in 1995, he went on to build India Infoline IIFL, which today has grown into a diversified financial powerhouse spanning wealth management, broking, housing finance, asset management, and insurance distribution. Under his leadership, IIFL has not only earned the trust of millions of investors, but also has become a respected name globally, with marquee investors such as Fairfax, Prem Vatsa, and General Atlantic backing his growth. His vision of democratizing finance has created opportunities for entrepreneurs, empowered retail investors, and given shape to one of India's most successful financial service groups. Beyond being a successful entrepreneur, Mr. Nirmal Jain is deeply admired for his clarity of thought, humility, and commitment to ethical business practices. He is also a proud member of the Jain community, inspiring the next generation to pursue excellence while staying grounded in values. Today, as we gather here at JITO Connect, we could not have asked for a more fitting leader to share his insights on entrepreneurship, perseverance, and wealth creation. His journey is a proof that with the right mix of vision, courage, and hard work, one can build institutions and stand the test of time. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Nirmal Jain, founder of IIFL Group.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद श्री प्रशांत जी. Thank you for such a great introduction. Well, ladies and gentlemen, may I please invite Association of National Stock Exchange of India to kindly join us on the stage and present a token of love and appreciation, a memento to Shri Nirmal Jain ji. और आप सभी की जोरदार तालियों के साथ मंच पर स्वागत करते हैं श्री निर्मल जैन जी का. A very profound, dynamic leader. एक बार फिर से विनती आप सभी से, please put your hands together, जोरदार तालियों के साथ. And once again requesting everyone to please settle down. आप सभी से विनम्र निवेदन है, please बैठ जाएं, please take your seats.
जय जिनेंद्र. I think after a very lively session and towards the end of the day, people are tired, but I'll just try and wrap it up as quickly as possible. So as you know that we are the sponsor, and our theme is transforming wealth into legacy. This is something we always talk about, we always think about, but we don't go about doing it in a systematic manner. And that is what maybe next 20 minutes to half an hour, I'll talk about it, and I'll have questions also from you on this. So, all of us, basically, whole our life, all Jain community in particular, we want to create wealth, we want to accumulate wealth. But, we must know that wealth is transient, and do we create a legacy? we should remember that what do we leave for our next generation is not as important as what do we leave in them, which are values, principles, and how to live life, and what to do with the wealth. So, wealth is what you have, and legacy is what you leave behind. All of us, we know that we are not here permanent, but we get very little time to think about what will happen to our wealth and next generation after we are gone. So, first is the foundation of creating wealth. Of course, we have to create wealth. And the process of creating wealth, I don't have to tell this community, which knows it better than anybody else, that we are entrepreneurs, we do innovate, we take risk as enterprise, we manage risk by diversifying, and we invest in human capital. That's very important. And these are sustainable wealth practices that we generate wealth, we create, we grow it by compounding and not by speculating. But this is a data which is global and which is very interesting and very striking. Williams Group Wealth Research, and they say that 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth in one generation, by the second generation, and 90% by the third generation. And it's so important because all of us, the wealth that we have, we don't need it entirely. We are not going to use it by any stretch of imagination in our lifetime. And if the probability that in the second or third generation, it might not remain, or significant portion of it might be eroded, is so high, what are we doing about it? Maybe, I think that's what probably we'll discuss today. So, I think there are 3 steps that we need to, I'm just trying to put in a very orderly manner, and I will recap it also. So first is that whatever wealth we create, we have to protect. And if you don't protect, obviously there's nothing to grow or transfer. And that requires diversification, governance of whatever we do. Many a times we have seen that a small governance or a compliance or integrity issue can wither away the entire wealth. And another thing is that we have to separate the business and personal wealth. This is something, as entrepreneurs, many of us find it difficult to do. But it's very important for a long-term creation of legacy, which we'll discuss again. And obviously we have to have emergency liquid buffers while we are protecting our wealth. The second step is growing. And our wealth has to beat inflation, otherwise whatever savings we do will be worth much lesser than when we generated it. And obviously the portfolio, there are wealth managers, and all of us are smart enough to know that we have to have a tax efficient strategy, otherwise tax might eat up significant part of wealth. There are many investors who may sell a few days before it becomes long-term capital gain. Because they don't track. So these are small things. Or how do you structure your investment also has a lot of tax planning in it. Sorry. To Jain community, I don't have to explain the impact of tax on the wealth. And the third is transfer. This is where most of us think about it, but we do very little. And many times if you see the fights, even in the biggest family in the country, is primarily because there was no will. And amongst the biggest families, there are families where this has been done very well. So will, creation of a trust, and family constitution, which is something which might look like academic words, but these are the things that we need to do if we really want to care about our legacy. So there's a smooth handover intergenerational, and God forbid, but any incapacity, then obviously we should have power of attorney, succession and agreements in place. This will require some time and effort, but all of us must do this. Now, so the 3 steps are protect, grow and transfer. And how do we do that? So preserving our wealth across generation is very important, as I spoke about, that in the 3rd generation, 70% of wealthy families would have lost significant part of their wealth. Maybe the Jain community, because we have principles that come from our families, this may not be as bad, but still we need to be careful about it. So, there are many, if you really look at Tatas, you look at Birlas, they created temples, they created hospitals, they created trust. And there are many people in Jain community also have done this. And if you want to read a book, it's called Vanderbilt, The Fortune's Children. It's such an amazing story because Vanderbilt was the richest man in the world 150 years ago. And his second and third generation, when they came together at a Vanderbilt University, not even one, this is about 1973, not even one family member was even a millionaire. And at one point in time, he owned in the New York Manhattan 6 buildings on the 5th Avenue, and he owned some 16,000 hectares of farmland. I mean, these were just among the small properties. He was one of the most successful businessmen in railways and shipping. And this book called Vanderbilt, which if you read, you'll understand how everything can be withered away. And there are many families where, we know in front of us, they've created a legacy which lasts generations. So, trust and family offices for professionalism. Now, family constitution, which is codifying value. Okay, all of us know Jain, many times we don't even invest in stocks which have liquor or cigarette or non-veg food. But if we really sit down and start thinking and debating, then all of us will have a few values that we need to codify. And we need to put it in our trust or our constitutional structure so that generation after generation, our wealth is put to good use. And think about these things when we are still active and set it up. Trustees, auditors, advisors. And all of us want to do philanthropy. I think we don't have to wait for when we are not able to do anything. We have to plan it, we have to embed it, and we have to put it down in our constitution, in our trust, and the way we want to do it. So how do we preserve our capital across, generation after generation? These are principles which are time-tested. You diversify. You make your portfolio inflation-proof with asset allocation. You have an insurance and governance structure. And you have to have a tax efficient. You should be globally aware of investing. Over a longer, when we talk about our next generation, I think the investment will not be in India alone, but there will be a global investment. And very important thing is creating a dashboard, MIS, and a reporting structure, which will help, what is measured is only preserved. What is inspected it improves and not what is expected. So it's very important for us to have transparency in the structure that we create. So, another important thing is, many a times, in our Jain community, we know that even if somebody is rich, they get their children to work and play roles in their businesses to understand what it is. And sometimes, we don't engage our next generation because either we don't tell them that what kind of wealth we have or what we want to do with it. And that proves sometimes a very expensive mistake because they don't understand the values. Either they go astray, and if something suddenly happens, then things go out of control. So, mentorship of our next generation is very important. They should understand that this wealth is not their entitlement, is not their birthright, but has been earned the hard way, and they have to make sure that hard way they grow and preserve it. So financial literacy, I think people talk about, obviously, Smriti ji also spoke about it, but there are different dimensions. And many times we are seeing now in this generation, that many families sell their businesses and the next generation, they don't want to do anything, but they become part of family office. Now, whether they are doing it professionally or they are just sitting on, they are just part of it, that is what every parent has to think about it. So, it's important that our next generation understands what finance is, what money is, what capital is, how much they have, and what they want to do. And all of us are mostly all Jain, we are all businessmen, and we are all owners. We have to have owner mindset. At the same time, we have to create a professional structure to run our business and to run our, to make sure that our legacy is continued. And the meritocracy is very important there. We can provide all kind of education, training to our next generation, and then if they are really capable, good, they manage it. But if they are not, and you want your businesses or your legacy to continue, you have to make sure that you get the right type of people on board. And this is sometimes, or most of the times, a very difficult decision. But if you look at the history of wealth, this has been one of the most important ones. Legacy journal to record stories and lessons. I mean, this is a little outlandish recommendation, but this comes from many families who have done this very well. They will have stories of their grandfather and great-grandfather also. And many times children know that how our values are or what our history is. So for preserving wealth, you have to have a continuing mechanism, which is your trust, will, structure we are talking about. So let's say structure, and then there's a governance and a monitoring, and then engaging our next generation so that they know what is being done. That takes us to the next point, which is succession planning. All of us know in our businesses now, many times, some of the listing guidelines have made it mandatory, but I think very few of us do justice to this. We should know that wealth can create walls. The stories all of us hear, that there's tremendous amount of wealth and the next generation fights so bitterly that, the parent or grandparents who are in heaven will regret, why do I have this wealth kind of a thing? Because no relationship left, no love left. So that is where we have to be careful that wealth can build walls and the legacy are the builds bridges, what we need. So, for succession planning, first is that you have to define the purpose, and you have done the hard work, you have created the wealth. What do you want to be done to this wealth after you're gone? And that is very important. And you have to align family on certain things which are non-negotiable values. And that has to be codified in the constitution, trust or will, whatever you do. Then, successor, as I said, most of us will have capable children, but for any reasons. When I say not capable, does not mean that they are not good or not skilled or not capable for anything. There are many children, they are not interested in the business that you have. Sometimes you may be a genius in maths and your child doesn't like maths, but he may be a genius in art. So there are many children who may be genius or very good, but they don't want to do business. There's no point in forcing it. And it's better that you get a merit-based professional team to run it. And rotate roles is also very important. And many families like Birla's or many other business families have done it very well. They groom their children from young age and they do different roles. And I think all of us have to spend time to mentor our children because we have learned a lot in our lifetime. It'll be a pity if we are not able to pass on our learnings to the next generation. And we have to make them accountable and we have to review. So, I think, as I said, legal structures and foundations are important. The will and trust, you have to update it every 3 or 5 years. Sometimes we make it now. We may live much longer. Things keep changing. And the structure that has to create through holding company or family office. Many times what happens that you have 2 children or 3 children and there's all concentrated assets in one business. That you have to think about it, what will happen to that. So, there are ways to create structure for that or split it. And if you do it thoughtfully, you'll do it in a very tax-effective way for next generation to handle this. Governance and oversight, family constitution and council, independent advisors, these are time-tested things world over. That when there have been high-quality advisors, trustees and auditors, they've done a wonderful job. And when left without an independent external trustees, the families have fought so bitterly, and sometimes, as you know, the largest family, they have to get somebody who was not there, but a trusted family advisor to settle. So this happens all the time. Always in our lifetime, we know so many trusted people, we can appoint them as trustee or advisor. Annual reviews and stress testing, if something like COVID or anything else happens, what's going to happen? Every 3 to 5 years, you have to keep refreshing because whatever structure you create can change because of circumstances. So these are the things for succession planning, that you have to define your purpose and you have to groom the successor, can be from family or based on merit. You have to create a legal and a structure foundation so that legally there should not be bitter fight after we are gone. We have to create a structure which is very robust. And we have to set up a governance and oversight structure of trustees, auditors, and board to manage the same, and we have to review and refresh. Now, there's some, I'm just trying to summarize, there are some common pitfalls we must avoid. I can share this presentation with you. So, These are 5. Many of us don't have any written will. And we think everything will be all right, no. And then what happens afterwards is always, there are many stories about it. Many of us have concentration in one business or one asset that can meet problem, which can be cycles, regulatory, any other thing. Or that control of one business cannot be with multiple children of yours, so there can always be a problem. And always remember, children will get married and there'll be more members in the families. And everybody can have different views, and that can create structures which are challenges which are difficult to define. Mixing family wealth with business, we have to keep the personal assets out for lifestyle and the business separate, so that business can be managed professionally by the best people. And you still are the shareholders and owner of it. And sometimes, we shouldn't ignore the inflation and tax. People can keep their money in bank, fixed deposit. It may not be inflation proof, but you have to take some more effort and make sure that it's inflation proof. Sometimes people have businesses outside India. One has to be careful about cross-border complexity, the tax laws in different countries. And another thing, how many of us really get our children on the dinner table and say that, okay, let's discuss how the succession is going to be, or how this wealth is going to be distributed. It may be inconvenient, may be difficult, but still much better to do it when you're alive and active and fully in command, rather than very scary. Okay. So just to summarize the 10-point checklist, I think whatever I said, I can just summarize in 10 points, which is define purpose and your values. Value, you have created wealth, then you have a right and duty both to make sure that you put your values down, and that has to be put in the constitution, in the trust and the will, so that the purpose and values are never defeated. You may be passionate about education, about philanthropy, about everything, you put it down there, so that we will never know how our next and the generation after next will be. And if these things are not properly written down, then something, what will happen to the wealth or the trust money, we'll never know. Draft IPS is your investment policy statement, which we must write down, that how much of risk we want to take with this money. There are many trusts which keep the corpus safe, and only the interest or income is used for whatever purposes or objectives of the trust. Map liabilities. Many a times, I think it's important for us to map all kind of liabilities and risk which we have for variety of things. We might have committed, we might have part invested, and make sure that there is an insurance or a ring fencing of those liabilities. It shouldn't happen that liabilities are undefined, undocumented, and later people can take advantage of that, and our next generation won't know how to handle it. Diversified inflation-proof portfolio is what we have to build. Updated wills, trust and power of attorney. Family constitution and a council. Council can be maybe your close relatives, your trusted people, or people whom you really trust that they don't have any reason to do something which is unethical, and they are capable and competent. Those are the people that can be put. Independent advisors, they can be professional advisors. Quarterly reporting and audit trail. Again, these are basic things which all of us know, but very few of us do. And ring fencing philanthropy corpus, and the last but not least, mentoring our next generation systematically. We must never underestimate our capability, because we have created wealth, we have done the hard work. We have to mentor our children, and sometimes it's inconvenient because they don't listen to us, but that's a job that we have to do. Thank you. So I think we have to make sure that our wealth is transformed into legacy which endures beyond our lifetime. And instead of assets, we have to create institutions. And instead of just thinking about inheritance, we have to think about inspiration. We have to inspire our next generation to do even better. Thank you. Anybody has any questions or? Yeah.
सर जय जिनेंद्र
जी।
आपसे ये समझना था कि आप तो वेटरन हैं, जिस एरा में आपने ये सब देखा है, पिछले 20 साल 25 साल में अगर आदमी ने कुछ नहीं किया हो, कोई मार्केट का ऊपर नीचे कोई चिंताएं कुछ नहीं किया, सिर्फ गोल्ड में इन्वेस्ट करके रख दिया हो, तो भी डिट्टो सेम रिटर्न्स बना है। तो मेरे लिए बहुत डिफ़िकल्ट हो जाता है मेरे पिताजी को समझाना या दादाजी को समझाना कि आप एक्विटी को एज एसेट क्लास देखिए, क्योंकि 20 साल 25 साल के रिटर्न्स वो कंपेयर करते हैं और वो डेटा डिट्टो सेम है। मतलब गोल्ड में खरीदना है, रखना है, कुछ नहीं सोचना है, युद्ध हुआ, पॉलिटिकल लीडर आया गया, कुछ भी नहीं करना है। तो थोड़ा सा आपका व्यू उस पर चाहिए।
इसमें पिछले 3 सालों में गोल्ड की प्राइस बहुत बढ़ी है।
20 ईयर्स 25 ईयर्स।
हाँ 25 ईयर्स में, पर हमेशा नहीं बढ़ी है। कुछ कुछ समय ऐसा भी था जब उसके पहले 20 साल देखो आप, तो ये तो क्या है कि अगर हमको एसेट एलोकेशन डाइवर्सिफाई करना है, क्योंकि अगर आपको अपने अगले 50 साल देखने हैं तो कम से कम पिछले 50 या 100 साल देखो। ऐसे बहुत सारे टाइम पीरियड हो गए जब गोल्ड का प्राइस जो है कहीं नहीं गया, और equity has done much better than gold. There are times when real estate does better than equity and gold, and there are times when every. So I think if you really 50 या 100 साल की आप हिस्ट्री देखो तो एक चीज़ उभर के आएगी कि आप डाइवर्सिफाई करो, क्योंकि जो आज अगर समझो गोल्ड का भाव जो कम से कम दुगना या ज़्यादा हो चुका है, अब $3,600 तो लोग कह रहे हैं $6,000 हो जाएगा, 2 लाख 2.5 लाख रुपये हो जाएगा, शायद हो भी जाए। पर 2013-14 में, जो कि अपने बहुत ज़्यादा पीछे नहीं है, 10 साल पहले की बात है, गोल्ड का भाव अचानक 30-40% गिर गया था। तो बहुत सारे लोग जो स्पेकुलेट करते हैं उनकी दुकानें बिक गई। 1980 में चांदी का भाव, अगर आपको पता हो, अभी गोल्ड से भी ज़्यादा चांदी पे लोग ज़्यादा बुलिश हैं। आप 79-80 का ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड देखो, चांदी के भाव 3-4 गुने हो गए और फिर वापस पूरा गिर के वहीं पे आ गए। बहुत सारे लोग मैं जानता हूँ, ज्वेलरी शॉप्स, मैं तो छोटा था उस समय, उनकी दुकानें बिक गई, दिवाली हो गए। तो इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ ये है कि सब जगह थोड़ा थोड़ा रखो, दैट्स द बेस्ट थिंग।
थैंक यू सर।
या
जय जिनेंद्र, मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि एक बिजनेसमैन को अपनी वेल्थ के अगेंस्ट कितने फंड्स मार्केट या बैंक से बोरो करने चाहिए?
क्या
कितने फंड्स बैंक या मार्केट से बोरो करनी चाहिए अपनी कैपिटल के अगेंस्ट?
हाँ, लिवरेजिंग आपके बिजनेस के ऊपर डिपेंडेंट है सर। सो आप बिजनेस में लिवरेज करो, अच्छा है, पर आपका जो पोर्टफोलियो है, जो इन्वेस्टमेंट है फैमिली, उसमें लिवरेज मत करो। दैट्स व्हाट माय सजेशन वुड बी।
बिजनेस में?
बिजनेस में अगर कैपिटल इंटेंसिव बिजनेस है तो आप ज़्यादा लिवरेज करोगे या वर्किंग कैपिटल लोन लोगे। हर एक बिजनेस में अलग अलग नॉर्म्स हैं।
सेफ्टी साइड मिनिमम कितना कर सकते हैं?
2:1 इज गुड इनफ, यू नो, बेंचमार्क एज अ रूल ऑफ थंब।
मतलब 1 अपनी कैपिटल,
1 इक्विटी पे 2 डेट इन द बिजनेस।
1 पे 2।
हाँ,
थैंक यू।
बट फॉर बिजनेस एंड विच हैज टू पे बैक बाय बिजनेस एंड नॉट बाय स्पेकुलेशन।
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन बहुत सिंपल है। आई एम इनटू म्यूचुअल फंड शेयर्स वगैरह। हाउ टू बिकम लाइक IIFL कैपिटल?
हाउ टू बिकम IIFL?
हाउ टू बिकम as much as bigger like IIFL capital?
So I have taken 30 years. Keep walking the same line for 30 years, you'll reach it.
Sure sir.
And see, so अगर आप एक रास्ते पे चलोगे, जैसे I chose financial services, भले स्लो या फास्ट, पर वो एकदम कंपाउंड होते ही जाता है। सो दिस ऑल स्टोरी ऑफ कंपाउंड। आप वॉरेन बुफे को देखो, 50 या 60 साल की एज तक उसकी जो वेल्थ थी कुछ नहीं थी, पर I mean the compounding works. He started investing at 11 in 90+. So I think 2 things. आप compounding long term और लंबा जियो, so that like you know Warren Buffett old age you'll see a lot of wealth.
Okay, thank you.
हाँ बोलिए। Is safe, mutual fund is good. Exactly. What he's saying is also right कि stock selection is not easy for everybody. अगर आप म्यूचुअल फंड में भी इन्वेस्ट करो डायरेक्ट कोड में, जिसमें आपके चार्जेस नहीं लगे, so you can diversify your portfolio very well. Now you can invest in gold through mutual fund, you can invest in equities through mutual fund, debt through mutual funds. Yeah.
जय जिनेंद्र।
जय जिनेंद्र।
इधर इधर आपके सामने एकदम।
हाँ बोलिए बोलिए।
you have explained very well on the succession, business succession and the legacy planning. I am a chartered accountant. I get often a question, what is a right quantum of a capital someone have to acquire to plan this thing? So, आपके हिसाब से what should be and benchmark, like how big you should be to do these things?
I think, okay, the quantum of capital varies for everybody. The right answer for this, it doesn't matter on what quantum of capital is. Whatever you have, as I said, that you keep something for your liquidity buffer and the balance you put it for the family.
Need to advise to my clients. Okay.
It doesn't, I'm saying even if you have a 1 crore, 10 crore, 100 crore, 1000 crores, it's all numbers. आप एक छोटे पैसे का बहुत अच्छा काम कर सकते हो और बहुत ज़्यादा पैसे को भी आप बर्बाद कर सकते हो.
एक उनका क्वेश्चन था ऑन द गोल्ड. सो इन्होंने कंपेयर किया था गोल्ड और शेयर मार्केट को. तो पिछले 100 साल में गोल्ड को 3000 रुपये आने को लगा 100 साल, फिर 3000 से 1 लाख जाने को 20 साल लगा. तो इट इज़ वेरी अनकम्पेरेबल विद द शेयर मार्केट.
या
एक्सक्यूज मी. हाँ सर, आपके सामने जय जिनेंद्र निर्मल जी. मैं ख्याति खंडेलवाल हूँ और मैं भी सेकंड जनरेशनल एंटरप्रेन्योर हूँ, जहाँ पे मैं अपने डैड के बिजनेस, उनकी लेगेसी को फॉरवर्ड लेके जाना चाहती हूँ. अभी आपने कहा फॉर द फर्स्ट जनरेशन, आप क्या एडवाइस हम सेकंड जनरेशन को देंगे, जहाँ पे ट्रेडिशनली हमेशा हमारे ब्रदर्स को जैसे बिजनेसेस फॉरवर्ड होते थे, आई हैड डिसाइडेड टू टेक ओवर माई डैड्स लेगेसी एंड टेक इट फॉरवर्ड. तो सेकंड जनरेशन को आप क्या एडवाइस देंगे जिससे वो रेजिस्टेंस, बिकॉज हम भी स्ट्रगल करते हैं कि हम हमारे ओल्डर जनरेशन को नई टेक्नोलॉजीज़, नई सोच, नए विचार के लिए कन्विंस करें. बट it took me 3 years to convince my father to take a bet on me कि हाँ हम आगे बढ़ सकते हैं. So anything on that?
Very good. Congratulations to her and her father. So I think अब सोच बदल गई. Even my elder daughter is, I had a good job. She's quitting and joining family. So it doesn't make any difference कि daughter है कि son है. The second generation comprises of both. And there are many examples from आप कुमार मंगलम बिरला जी की daughter को देखो या Nadar ji ki, everybody has joined the business and they've done a wonderful job from south to north. So first of all, there's no difference in daughter and son, and if you are capable, you'll do a wonderful job and your father is supporting you, so that's very good.
Yes. And any skill set जो आप कहोगे कि second generation को, any skill sets जो आप कहोगे second generation को पता होनी चाहिए जो अपने family legacy को आगे लेके जाना चाहता है.
हाँ, you talk to your dad to find that out, ना?
Yes. Okay.
I think that's what I said, that you have to, if he's able to mentor you, that's the best thing for you. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
बोलिए.
Nirmal bhai, should I Nirmal bhai?
हाँ, बोलो.
Here. Yeah, sorry.
हाँ.
Congratulations. Nice detailing about the succession planning and all these things. But in a traditional way, succession planning is being done through a will. And nowadays, promoters holding are being transferred in a family trust. So, how that family trust transfer is relevant or better compared to the will?
Will it's a good question.
Thank you.
So, if you make a non-revocable family trust with your children as beneficiaries, that is bankruptcy proof of yours. So, आप अगर एक ट्रस्ट में पैसा डाल दो जिसमें आप उसको रिवोक नहीं कर सकते हो, I mean the lawyers can advise you properly, then that wealth in the trust will belong to your children. Supposing something happens to you, आपके धंधे में कुछ लॉस हो गया या कोई प्रॉब्लम आ गई तो पैसा सेफ है. So अगर विल में समझो आपकी कोई लाइबिलिटी है तो they will be covered first. But when you create an irrevocable trust and transferred at some point in time when you did not have with not any ulterior motive, then that trust becomes a very good structure for that. Also, the trust may you can appoint advisors, you can appoint a council, constitution, you can define that this has to be done, this cannot be done. All those things you can do.
Nirmal ji, hi. Jai Jinendra. I wanted to ask Nirmal ji, see, most of the Marwadi Gujarati Jain businessmen, we are all traders, They can be, there's a lot of noise.
How much time? Just tell me when to wind up.
So, this trading businesses, see, abhi time ho gaya hai, log businesses को valuation करके बेच रहे हैं, manufacturing and all these people of course are selling. Trading businesses which are say in other, whether it is pharmaceutical or I am a debt trader. So trading businesses कैसे value करके you can sell or something like that. What do you advise on that?
So if your children are interested in trading, that's wonderful. If they are not, then every business can be sold. The valuation will be different based on the profile of the business. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. आप सभी की जोरदार तालियां. Thank you so much for such an inspiring session. And may I please invite on stage Shri Himanshu Shah ji, Vice Chairman, JITO Apex. Shri Nirmal ji, Vice President, JITO Apex. Shri Rohit Kothari ji, Chairman, JITO Hyderabad Chapter. Shri Mahesh ji Golecha, Vice Chairman, JITO Hyderabad. Shri Lalit Chopra ji, Chief Secretary, JITO Hyderabad Chapter. And Shri Rajesh ji Chandan ji, Chairman, JITO Chennai Foundation. आप सभी से निवेदन है, प्लीज मंच पे जुड़े हमारे साथ. For the felicitation of Shri Nirmal Jain ji. Well, once again, thank you so much, sir, for such an inspiring session.
Please call Sukrat ji Nar.
Sukrat ji?
Nar.
May I please request Shri Sukrat ji Nar ji to kindly join us on the stage. Shri Gautam ji Pokarno, please join us. Well, जैसा कि पहले भी मैंने कहा that wealth can buy comfort, but legacy inspires generations. And that's how हमारे बीच श्री निर्मल जैन जी actually told us कि कैसे wealth को आप legacy में transform कर सकते हैं. आप सभी की जोरदार तालियां. Let us all join our hands, ladies and gentlemen, for an actual thought-provoking session. एक बार फिर आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद श्री निर्मल जैन जी for a great session.